Good evening. I'm Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and I am the proud daughter of Palestinian immigrant parents that grew up in the most beautiful, blackest city in the country, city of Detroit. I am honored to be with all of you tonight to elevate the voices of our families and our communities across the country that continue to be left behind. As the mother of 2 boys and the eldest of 14 children, I have been taking care of people all my life. My service in Congress is guided by my roots. That's why I'm committed to standing up for our communities that just want the opportunity to thrive. In the richest country in the world, it shouldn't be this hard for so many to have a good life. Tonight, I am proud to deliver a response on behalf of the Working Families Party. The Working Families Party is a voice for the multiracial working class, fighting for a nation that cares for all of us. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm also part of the Working Families Party because I believe that our government must put the needs of working families first. In difficult times, we must never lose sight of each other's humanity. 2 years ago, we couldn't have imagined a pandemic that has taken nearly 1 million lives here at home and nearly 6 million across the world. It also threw tens of millions of Americans, our neighbors, out of work, and it exposed our inhumane, profit-driven healthcare system as our essential workers were pushed to the breaking point and hospitals ran out of beds. When President Biden took office just over a year ago, he took action. He started getting shots in arms. He acted quickly to deliver emergency relief. Congress approved direct relief checks. We helped our working parents. We stopped evictions. We sent resources to our schools and our local and state governments. We showed the potential of an administration and Congress that can act together at the scale of the challenges we all face. We showed how our government can be in the service of the working class majority, not just the wealthy few. And it worked. President Biden and Congress stopped what could have been an economic freefall. Not a single Republican, not one, voted for the relief package. We created 6 million new jobs, and I am inspired to see empowered workers demanding fair wages, stronger benefits, and human dignity. After the emergency response, we had a chance to do so much more. So when President Biden laid out the visionary Build Back Better agenda to create an America where we all have an opportunity to thrive, people got excited. We had a chance to begin to address decades of rising inequality and injustice. President Biden's Build Back Better brought people together. We saw for the first time people who want to see childcare in the same room with those combating climate change. Folks working on housing justice in the same room as those working on health care. The president did that. Build Back Better did that. Build Back Better increases access to health care and lowers prescription drug costs. It funds home and community-based care for our elders and people with disabilities. Each of these investments would be life-changing. It also fights climate change with major investments in clean renewable energy, green jobs, and clean water that would transform our communities. It would uplift our nation by preserving and building affordable housing and investing in our children and families with affordable childcare, universal pre-K, paid leave, and free community college. And these are popular investments that would be paid for by making the wealthy and giant corporations pay their fair share. No one fought harder for President Biden's agenda than progressives. We rallied together with our supporters, held town halls in our communities, engaged new people, and we even played hardball in Congress. But 2 forces stood in the way. A Republican Party that serves only the rich and the powerful, and just enough corporate-backed Democratic obstructionists to help them succeed. Some important parts of the president's agenda became law with the infrastructure bill, but we campaigned on doing even more. Roads and bridges are critical, but so are childcare and prescription drugs, and we shouldn't have to choose. People like India Beckham, a mother of 7 children in my district, who is the sole provider for her family. The expanded child tax credit helped her catch up on bills, and meet her family's basic needs. But now that lifeline is gone, and we can't give up on her and millions of people like her. With the majority of the Build Back Better agenda stalled, Mr. President, our work is unfinished. But we are ready to jumpstart our work again. We still have time to lower costs for working families and preserve a livable planet for our grandchildren, but we must act now. The super rich got richer during the pandemic, while Ms. Beckham and others face higher costs and new barriers that will forever alter their children's future. I want us to imagine a government where corporate donors don't drive healthcare, climate, education, and poverty policies, where the working families of our nation really call the shots. It's time. It's time we had a majority in Congress to fight for us, a working families majority. No matter who you are or where you're from, most of us want the same things: a good paying job, a safe community, clean air and water, good schools, and a brighter future for our families. Enough to thrive, not just survive. So what would a working families majority do? We'd work with President Biden to deliver for you and your family. We'd guarantee healthcare as a basic right, because after 2 years of this pandemic, we can't allow corporate profits to determine who lives and who dies. We'd stand up to big pharma and insurance companies, and we'd make drug prices for life-saving medicine like insulin actually affordable. And we'd make abortion care a fundamental right so that no Supreme Court could ever take it away. We'd pass the End Child Poverty Act that Representative Mondaire Jones and I introduced so that parents like India Beckham and millions more could provide for the basics that every child needs to thrive. We'd fight together for respect for all of our workers. That means a minimum wage of at least $15 an hour that rises with inflation, the freedom to join a union without harassment or intimidation, and paid and family medical leave for our workers. From the baristas at home, in my home community in Great Lakes Coffee, to the teachers in Minnesota, to the Amazon workers in Alabama, workers are speaking up for a voice and dignity on the job. I saw what a union meant for my family growing up, as my father was a member of the United Auto Workers. This smile is because of the UAW. They ensured that our family had access to dental care. So this is our time. This is our time to take on corporate polluters who get rich poisoning us, and we fight for environmental justice. With the Green New Deal, we rebuild our country by creating millions of union jobs in the clean energy industry of the future. Imagine turning the Rust Belt into a green belt that is a center of American jobs and innovation for the next century. And we'd ensure clean air and water, because I know we can't build back better if our children can't live healthy lives. A working families majority would take on skyrocketing housing costs, which have left 500,000 Americans homeless on any given night, and millions more struggling to pay the rent. That means building millions of accessible, new, affordable homes, and providing long overdue rental, down payment, and home repair assistance. We would provide a real path to citizenship for our people who want nothing more than to contribute to our nation. We would transform our broken immigration system into one where immigrants are welcomed, not vilified. Over the past few days, we have all watched in horror as Russia launched an illegal and unjustifiable invasion of Ukraine. We stand with the people of Ukraine. The United States and our allies must work together towards an immediate ceasefire and a diplomatic resolution to help save lives. We must pursue targeted sanctions that put pressure on Russia's billionaires, not the everyday Russians who have no choice in this conflict and are courageously protesting the war as we speak. We need a humanitarian response to this crisis, and we must welcome Ukrainian refugees from all walks of life to the United States. And I know we can't seek peace by continuing to spend $750 billion every year on weapons of war, making defense contractors and companies wealthier. We must put human rights and dignity first and prioritize cooperation and diplomacy to address the challenges that no one nation can confront alone, like pandemics and climate change. Nothing is more important than keeping the people we love free from harm. We all deserve to be safe in our neighborhoods. The path to community safety is investing in what people need to thrive, like access to jobs, quality education, and real opportunities. We can't police away homelessness, poverty, or mental health crises in our country. Care, not more criminalization, is how we ensure lasting safety for all. And we should end the war on drugs, fund legal defense, and enact criminal justice reforms like ending qualified immunity that would transform our discriminatory legal system. And we should add a justice for working people to the Supreme Court by confirming Ketanji Brown Jackson without delay. Over the last 2 years, the richest people in America doubled their wealth. As profits skyrocket, corporations have the nerve to blame inflation while increasing prices on essential goods and services. This is more than simply corporate greed. It's extortion. We need to tax billionaires and mega corporations that dodge their fair share. And we need to fight back against unchecked corporate power that increasingly shape our lives. Those policies I named, they are popular, but we have a system that makes it too easy for elected officials to answer to donors instead of their constituents. Disproportionate representation in the Senate distorts the democratic will of the people. The filibuster, a tool perfected to defend Jim Crow, continues to be used to block progress. We must abolish it in the Senate, like the House did more than a century ago. Republicans are trying to destroy our political power of working class families, and they're willing to tear down our democracy to do it. They say the violent insurrection on January 6th is, quote, legitimate political expression, and that corporate super PAC spending dominating our elections is just free speech. The Republicans act like the real danger to our democracy is having enough voting booths in Black neighborhoods, mail-in ballots, fair district lines. If we really want a democracy that responds to the will of the people, then we need voting rights protection and democracy reforms immediately. While we continue building support in Congress, President Biden can use his executive power now to take action, to deliver for the people. He can cancel federal student loan debt, which would be a lifeline for millions of Americans and a transformative economic stimulus. And he can ban federal fossil fuel leasing, drilling, direct federal agencies to reject permits for new fossil fuel projects, and regulate carbon emissions. He can fix our labor rules right now to allow more workers to access overtime pay. And he can change how we calculate the poverty line so that more Americans become eligible for life-saving federal benefits. And he can take action to break up pharmaceutical monopolies that make life-saving medicines affordable. The midterm elections are coming up fast, and this year we can elect working families majority we all need. We know what happens when the Republicans take power. They protect the rich, target the rest of us. They attack and undermine voting rights, women's rights, workers' rights, immigrants, people of color, and our LGBTQ community, and they block progress on climate change. So if you voted or knocked on doors or donated in 2020 to defeat Trump, I implore you, pay attention, because this year is just as important, and we need everybody to help. Blocking the far right is just not enough. We also need to elect the next generation of working families champions. It starts with staying engaged and voting in every election and every primary for candidates who will put working people first. I know that we can get closer to the world we all deserve when we build a bigger movement. Bring people in, not cast them out. I was taught by a pastor in Detroit that we aren't a country that is divided. We are disconnected. We must connect on the dreams we have for our children, the hopes we have for our communities, and so much more. When we connect with one another, building our solidarity, we can outwork the hate and show that the very people, show them that who basically want to ensure that we never have a seat at the table. We can show them that we aren't going anywhere. So I want you to think of the people you love, the place you call home. For me, it's my 2 boys, my family, the communities I represent. Who is it for you? That's who you're fighting for. And I want for them what we want for all Americans, the opportunity to thrive and flourish, a country where no one person's dream is too big to become a reality. I know it's possible when we all come together. So if you're ready to be part of our movement, join us. Join us by texting WIN-WIN to 30403. Working families are the majority. Together, we will win a nation that can truly stand up for all of us. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have a wonderful night.